Hello, and welcome to Jason's Luna-Tic take on comic books. Tick. The second tick is silent. If you like what you're hearing on this show, give us a shot, give us a chance. Uh, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you have a good title for the show. I like this one. It's a little heavy. All right, so past couple shows, I've been piggybacking off of the big cultural comic book movies and TV shows. But there's nothing out this week. Loki and Black Widow just ended, and What If question mark is a couple weeks away. And what if I wasn't so dependent on the Marvel Cinematic Universe? The big movie of the week is G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes. I haven't seen it, but I feel like the origin of Snake Eyes is pretty clear. The scene is Las Vegas, circa 1940. Guy shooting craps. He rolls the dice and he says, "Hey, that 1 and 1 there looks like a pair of snake eyes." And the guy next to him goes, that's a good nickname because the two little dots sort of look like the beady eyes of a snake, and the white line of the side of the dice could be like a eyeball. Also, you own the casino a kidney, you loser. So I was working on a top 10 list of snakes and comic books, but the list slipped out of my hands. My hand darted in and out from underneath my desk, but I couldn't cop a copy of the list for today's show. Let me know in the comments if there's any snakes and comic books I feel like you're missing. The Midgard Serpent just came to mind. That's about it. And there's Hydra, but it's like that's like a mascot thing. I wouldn't talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and be like, "Oh, there's so many tigers." And I feel like there's some Cobra bad guy too, and there's of course a Cobra in G.I. Joe. Full circle. So I made a joke about how I couldn't write a list. I came up with 3 or 4, maybe 5 snakes. But here we are. I decided I was gonna make fun of a snake list. I'm not gonna do a snake list. Midgard Serpent is boring. I said it. It's a serpent from Midgard. It's kind of big. That's all I know. So instead, I'm gonna present to you so we get to know each other. You can like, share, and subscribe, and write in the comments. You're my best friend, Jason. Let's hang out. Here are my top 10 members of the Justice League. I mentioned a top Justice League members concept last week. I believe I was riffing on how great Dr. Fate was or something like that. And so this week's the list, which I actually prepared. So here we go. Top 10 Justice League members, according to me. Here we go. Number 10, Wonder Woman. Now, in terms of Wonder Woman's great. This is not a knock on Wonder Woman being number 10 of a top 10 list. It's a lot. There's hundreds of Justice League members to choose from. We all know the origin story more or less. The comics is a little more involved, but similar. Hippolyta is the queen of the Amazons. She's with Zeus, kinda. She makes a baby out of clay. This clay gets birthed into life and becomes Princess Diana. Not that Princess Diana, as far as we know. We'll explain. Princess Diana disappears, and then Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman comes along. How deep does this go? Is Zatanna the Prime Minister of England? Anyway, so Wonder Woman has these powers, and she's lured into the World War II conflict, much like the movie. Steve Trevor, sure, Steve-O, the Stevenator, Steve Nowski. You know, she's pulled into the world of man to save the day and be a hero. She has the lasso and the golden bracelets, and she's given a very authoritative role in the Justice League comic books, especially in the '60s. So you don't get a lot. It's not like a lot of character examination. But she's a pillar of strength in the industry. She's got mad respect from everyone. She, could stand up to Superman. She had to. So she's a decent pick all around, and she didn't get a lot of love in the comic books, really, until almost the movie came out. She's discontinued in the '70s because they have this whole thing where they took away her powers and had her learn kung fu instead, and it was very forced. DC loved getting their titles canceled in the '70s and the '80s. Justice League, Wonder Woman. It's just like, what better way to build momentum than to fail miserably? Wonder Woman's great. Number 9, the elongated man. I need some controversy on this list. Boost my views. Boost the comments wars going on here. So, elongated man. His name is Ralph Dibny. I'm sure there was an origin story for his powers. All I know is he's this dude who all of a sudden could stretch his limbs out, kind of like Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four. But Mr. Fantastic's like a, genius scientist who improved the world and became world famous and built a superhero team. Ralph Dibny, part-timer with the Justice League, and then he's hanging out with his wife, Sue Dibny. In his comic book series, they'd go on a vacation, and his nose would shake. Why was his nose shake? Because he wanted to solve a mystery, of course. Yep, the nose shakes, and there's a mystery afoot, and he would solve it like a detective. He's an elongated man. He solves like a detective. He's kind of funny as far as the '60s comic book character goes. I think he got a lot darker. Spoiler alert, deceased in the later comic books, but he's kind of goofy and dorky, but he's kind of memorable. He's got a nice haircut. It's very, flowing brown weave thing going on. So that's number 9. Why is he better than Wonder Woman? Because the novelty of his powers. Okay, number 8 is someone who is definitely better than Elongated Man, at least. That is the Black Canary. I don't know a lot of origin story per se on Black Canary. She kind of came into the Justice League. That's where I know her best from. She's this blonde lady. I know her best, kind of like a black leotard with the denim jacket over it, stuff like that. Sort of dresses a little clandestine, a little less superhero-y spandex stuff, and she has a powerful scream. And they really built up the character through a relationship with a man. No judging. No judging. It's not sexist to be defined by your relationship with a man. But she hooked up with the Green Arrow, which I think was a good move. I don't know. I can't say he's stable. He has money. Seems like a nice enough guy. And yeah, I think you get a little more of a vibe with Black Canary from the day-to-day in the comics, but definitely a push as comic books became more modern. She also became more modern, and it's a good character to hang out with, and that's what's important. Number 7, controversial. He's not number 1, but whatever. It's Superman. We all know Superman's origins, so I'm gonna say them again and slow. Okay, so alien planet Krypton. It's gonna blow up. Scientist Jor-El says, "I ain't saving you, my wife Kara. I'm not saving the wife. I'll put my baby in a rocket, shooting it to Earth." Krypton explodes behind them in one of the greatest comic book panels ever. Superman goes to Earth. He's adopted by the Kent family. He grows up, learns of his responsibilities being a hero, moves to Metropolis so he can be a reporter and a hero at the same time. And here we are. He's right there at the foundation of the Justice League, because of course he is. But if you're going to make an all-star DC team, he's the number 1 all-star. He's your George Brett. Yep. Yeah, the comics kind of ruin the appeal a little bit. Don't get me wrong. It's like his solo comics are beautifully drawn. They're kind of funny, sometimes intentionally, sometimes kind of some kind of camp silliness, sort of teaching Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen lessons and stuff like that. Beautiful artwork by Kurt Swan, but so it's all right. But in the Justice League, he's like this hammer. It's like he could overcome almost any bad guy eventually because his only vulnerabilities are kryptonite and magic. So he finds a lot of ways around that with help of his team, and the personality slips as a result. And that was probably why he was pushed out of the Justice League for the failed Detroit team in the 70s. Got canceled. Man, I love those canceled comic books. So we all know Superman. That's not, what else is there to say, really? He had a decent run. Obviously, he's like the most iconic superhero of all time. And he was in the Justice League, and it always felt like that was not his story. His story wasn't his own comic book. So I think number 7's a good place for him. Probably should be lower. But I don't get Superman mad at me. He's gonna turn me into some monster and teach me a lesson like in the Adventures of Jimmy Olsen. So anyway, number 6, the Blue Beetle. There are multiple Blue Beetles. I don't know a lot about the first one. He seems cool. It was this guy who got superpowers in a cave. But then he was on adventures with his assistant or sidekick. I think it was, well, it's not sidekick like a boy, but like, man sidekick. Ted Cord. The original Blue Beetle died. And the new Blue Beetle decided to use his money and his technological know-how to make himself technologically the Blue Beetle. Kind of like Batman, but with a little more of a scientific gravitas and ostentatiousness. Like he flies around in this big blue spaceship around the Earth. And he has like ray guns and powers like that. So it's not as secretive and emotional as Batman. And like in the Justice League comics, Ted Cord doesn't join until the Justice League International, which I briefly explained, I think, in a previous video. But the Justice League was like normal adventures across the world, and then when the Detroit the Justice League almost killed everything, we got this Justice League, just Justice League instead of Justice League of America, but basically the same. They were a new group of heroes, and then they expanded into international locations, Europe, other continents. So Blue Beetle joined then, and he was, a lot of his jobs were to pilot the Blue Beetle craft with all the team members in it, go on missions. He'll crack a lot of jokes with other characters that will be on this list very soon. And yeah, what else I got on Ted Cord? Not a huge fan of the solo comic books. The tech origins and stuff is interesting to a degree, but the adventures are a little generic. It's kind of hard to sort of build a prototype superhero without that sort of direct antagonism. Ooh, comic book rivalries or something would be good for another list. Let me know in the comments if that's a good idea. Let me know in the comments what you want on your meatball parm. You want extra sauce? Or no sauce, maybe, if you're on a diet? Okay, that's enough on the Blue Beetle. But solo comics aren't great. Just like International, it's a little iconic, a little more iconic with the jokes and stuff. Number 5, Mr. Miracle. Okay, I should have looked up the name of the planet, but oh, I almost have it. I don't have it. Darkseid has this terrifying planet where he raises all these bad guys. And an escapee from that planet, the short version, also what I remember, is Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle, scot-free, which is one of the... Let me know in the comments. Is that one of the best names in comics, scot-free? Or is it one of those names that every time you say it, you kind of want to put a little more on it? Like, you mean Scott-Freed? Frierson? No, Scott-Free. Because you see, he's an escape artist. So it makes sense. He can get free of things. So he has these mystical interpolations of a escape artist act that he can actually use as a superhero, not just as a Vegas act with a transparent methodology. that the magician's secret exposed on Fox would reveal. No, this is real. Useful powers. And he has a short guy, manager, sidekick. Can't remember his name. He has a wife, Big Barda, which is not a rude nickname at all. So she's taller than most women. Gotta point that out every time you say her name. Say her name. So here we go. They're married, so there's a romance angle built in, despite being a comic book. And he's also into jokes. He's not as heavy as Blue Beetle or someone else who will be on this list very soon. But he goes on adventures with them, and there's recently, he's still being explored in the modern comic books. I have not read a solo Mr. Miracle story per se, but it's an interesting backstory. He's an interesting character. I like, Big Barda and the manager guy whose name I can't remember. That's a great sign. They seem like interesting characters, so, he's working into him. He's got a cool outfit. It's like, it's a full, almost like a full body mask almost. It's got like kaleidoscopic green, red, little white, and yellow mixed in. Very kooky looking, very alien. Give it a shot. All right, number 4. Bit of a wild card entry here, because it's two people at once. Hawkman and Hawkgirl or Hawkwoman. Is it just Hawkgirl the whole time? Because I know Invisible Girl became Invisible Woman pretty quickly in response to, not making it diminutive of a fellow superhero. But I don't know if DC did that also. So anyway, I'm going to call her Hawkwoman. So, the cartoon shows and the comics later on, they sort of explored the differences. Generally, Hawkman is sort of a bit of a, type hard ass. Very focused on the job. Hawkwoman's a lot more human in her variation, and so their couplehood is always a little up in the air. But in the original comics, they were a lot more samey. They were both police people on an alien planet called Thanagar, and I guess either it was windy, not a lot of solid terrain, maybe just some fetishists on Thanagar, but they fight crime while wearing like a hawk mask and the wings and stuff, so they end up on Earth and join the Justice League, like you do. And yeah, there are more classic solo Hawkman and Hawkwoman comic books out there. I have not read any of them. I'm sure they're okay. I mean, they're not written by Alan Moore all of a sudden. It's still your Gardner Foxes and your similar old-timey DC writers. But it's interesting in the sense that they have a couple dynamic, maybe not as exciting as Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, but they have a couple dynamic going on. And they're exploring a new world in a way that's not as interesting as Mr. Miracle. I feel like I should have made Mr. Miracle number 4. But here we go. Hawkman and Hawkwoman are a solid team, add interesting flight dynamic and other things to battle. And they look cool, kind of, with their like suspenders to tie together their futuristic Hawk crime-fighting outfits. Dig those suspenders. Yeah. All right, number 3. Number 3 is a big one. One has changed a lot over time. Green Arrow. I think, Green Arrow, what a life, this guy. He started out as another Batman, basically. It's like a, rich millionaire playboy kid. Instead of his parents dying, which may have also happened to Green Arrow, I'm not sure, but he ends up on this island. He learns how to use a bow and arrow super efficiently. And then, of course, as it goes on with Green Arrow, we get more sophisticated. There's the Black Canary relationship. There's the Green Lantern, Green Arrow comic book series by Dennis O'Neil and the famous artist he was with. Let me know in the comments, because I know it, I just can't remember. But that was great. They explored social issues while going on adventures together, and Green Arrow got the goatee and the facial hair going on, and he became more of a liberal liberal jerk, and that was great. But you know what? The reason I like him so much is not because of that stuff. It's because when the Justice League came out, and we had oh, I forget some, but you have the core members. You know, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Flash, etc. It was a little generic, and it arguably didn't stop becoming generic when Green Arrow showed up. Like I'll say 5 or 9 issues in, but it definitely offers some change, offer a little bit of a dynamic, a little more character. Because even the ungoateed, unliberal jerk generic Green Arrow is still a little more exciting than Superman and Wonder Woman back then, which is a shame because obviously both those characters became much better as years went on. Superman, let me know in the let me know in the comments. Superman comic books later wasn't much better. I mean, it was better, but Green Arrow's solid. Spice things up. It only got spicier as things went on. It's a great dynamic. Connected to a lot of characters. Green Arrow. Green Arrow. Could be a shoot number 1 if I wasn't just ranking lists on my own personal favorites. Number 2, Dr. Fate. I won't dwell too much on Dr. Fate because I talked about him about last week because of the Gray Man adventure. But he's a lord of order. And the cool thing about him is that it's actually just a regular guy, but he puts on the helmet. The helmet takes over his brain and becomes this magician who's a lord of order. And he maintains the space time. There's always a built-in mysteriousness to his character. Comes and goes off on adventures. Still think there should be a movie about him because he's got some great stuff out there and more solo comics to read from the classic era would be great. So there's not a lot. It's disappointing. I guess a character that cool and mysterious, it's hard to unpack and make him to normalize it. Would that lose its appeal? I don't think so, but looks cool. He's got the blue outfit and then the gold helmet, gold cape, gold boots. His hideout is it's like a castle garret. It's like a tower. There's no door. He casts a spell to get in the thing. It's just a taste of the fate. Dr. Fate. He's awesome. Check him out. You will not be disappointed. And number 1, controversial choice if this list was espoused in any controversy, but it is Booster Gold. Booster Gold has become a sort of joke in the comic books. I think because, well, his name doesn't help. What does that even mean? He doesn't boost gold. He doesn't even steal gold, which would be super antiquated, but so Booster Gold was a football player in the distant future, and he realizes he could make a career for himself if he got technology from the future and went to the present day, which was the 80s, which is why his name is Booster Gold and not a normal name. Could be like Captain Gold or Future Man. Let me know in the comments. You got a lot of homework today, comments section. Let me know in the comments Booster Gold names that would make sense, because Booster Gold doesn't. But anyway, he goes back to the present, and he's got a dopey outfit. I'm starting to understand why he's getting insulted so much. I was confused before, now I know. Because he's got big gold goggles. He's got like an outfit that it goes over his head, but not over his eyes or his face. It just kind of goes on the tiara thing up here. And it's got like blue and gold and like cutouts of shapes on the gold on the blue, and it's very busy. He fights crime, and then he joins the JLI, the Justice League International, like I said, the new one, and he's a bit of a foil to Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle's a little more super jokey. Blue Beetle's a little, and Booster Gold's a little more, people are gonna make fun of me type. But he plays it well. Wears it on his shoulder. There's a chip on his shoulder. He takes it off, dips it in some guacamole, and he takes it well. And I just something's always. I guess it's just the novelty of the character, not knowing a lot about him, obviously from other media properties. Just always kind of cool to find a new character, and this is what I found. He's kind of funny, and he's a good team player. So I really recommend checking him out. A lot of good artwork on the Booster Gold solo series and the JLI. Keith Giffen, he's a master artist, good writer. It's times where I think I'm more of a Marvel guy. The guy wearing a Thanos shirt. So that concludes the list. Number 1 is Booster Gold. It has to be a controversial choice. Let me know your lists in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Well, please let me know if you got this far. God bless you. And let me know in the comments what other lists should accommodate. What? What do you want me to talk about on this channel? In the comments. Thank you. Goodbye. Remember, it's not Booster Gold if it's not also Booster 80s old. Good night, everybody.